everyone, and welcome to the Peddling Princess Podium. I'm your host, John Ardelli. Last week, Marie took me to meet one of her friends, Madeline Bishop. And when I went, I decided to take my camera with me. I'm trying to get into the habit of taking my camera wherever I go, just in case something interesting happens that I might be able to use as an idea for an episode of the podium. I'm sure glad I did, because she had one hell of a story to tell.
That's cool. The common areas.
Madeline lives in a seniors complex. Her mobility is limited. She manages to get around after a fashion using a walker, but aside from getting on and off her couch, her toilet, and her bed, she can't get to her feet without help. She lives alone, so falling is a constant worry for her. She'd actually had a rather bad fall a day or two prior to our visit.
I was in the bathroom. Here I am, almost to the toilet. And down I went, and I couldn't get off the floor. Well, I was lying there, and I couldn't move. I couldn't get back up on my walker. So I was trying to pound on the radiator in there to see if they could hear me downstairs. Because I knew I could never make it.
And nobody heard her, so.
To the bathroom.
Yeah.
And then I was yelling for help.
Yeah.
And nobody came. But I didn't realize that. I cut my head open. I got from the bathroom, crawling on my sore bones to here so I could pull my telephone off the table and dial 911. So that's quite a while.
You said all night, yeah.
And then, there was blood everywhere from my headache. And the other day, now I was in there between, my rod there right next to the toilet. I was there and I tried to grab the railing to get up to my walker. And Dad, I went between the toilet and the railing when I had the lifeline.
Yeah.
I wasn't as nervous.
When they took that away from you.
Yes.
I couldn't believe it.
It was like taking my only help away from me because I couldn't afford to pay it on my social insurance.
Now, for those of you who don't know, a lifeline that Madeline's referring to is a little bracelet with a red button on it that a person can wear that basically is an emergency call device. If you press the red button, someone is immediately dispatched to your home in case you've fallen and incapacitated yourself, you can't dial 911 for some reason, and you need help. But I always thought that people who needed them just got them because my friend Lisa, who's much younger, but she lives in a seniors complex because of a physical disability, has one. So it took me completely by surprise when Madeline said that she lost hers because she couldn't afford to pay it. And that's actually what inspired this story, because when I started looking around her apartment, I saw many different problems in there. First of all, her shower. This is the biggest one that I saw. The shower doesn't have any overhead light, and because of the way the wall is built, it's dark in there. And I'm thinking, that's not a good thing for a senior that probably might have visual impairment or whatever, or what have you. And the exhaust fan in her bathroom doesn't work either. And the biggest surprise I got, though, was when I opened her electrical service panel and I saw it was a fuse box. Now, there's nothing inherently dangerous about fuses in and of themselves as long as you're using the right amperage. But that did mean that her bedroom can't have arc fault circuit interrupters. An arc fault circuit interrupter is like a GFI you see in the bathrooms with a little reset switch on the receptacle, which is meant to cut the power quickly in case you drop something in the water that you're using. But an arc fault circuit interrupter has a similar reset switch, but it's actually in the breaker panel. And bedrooms are now required under electrical code to have an arc fault circuit interrupter because any receptacles in the bedroom are inherently the place where fires are most common because things left running overnight unattended. Now I realize, of course, that according to electrical code, as long as the electrical is still functional and no major upgrades have been done, it's not against code per se to leave the fuse panel in place. But as Mike Holmes has often said, minimum code just isn't enough, and that's particularly important in the case of seniors. If there's anyone who needs arc fault protection in the bedroom to make sure that no fires start, that would be seniors. And it totally blew my mind that there was a fuse panel. Code violations notwithstanding, there's another problem. Her fingers are really, really stiff. We had to open a bottle of pills for her with a child lock, which is very simple to operate, and she understood how to operate it, but she couldn't get her fingers around it in the right way to get it to open. Do you think she can screw and unscrew fuses? I doubt it. And she wasn't told there was a fuse panel there anyway. She wouldn't have a spare fuse to use in the event she blew a fuse, so what she'd have to do? She'd have to call maintenance. And what, wait there a half an hour? 45 minutes? What if it was an emergency? It was when I saw that I decided that I was going to go pay Lisa a visit. I hadn't visited her in quite some time, and I was curious because when she moved into her apartment, there were quite a few problems as well.
When I first moved in here, now this is supposed to be a wheelchair accessible apartment, and it definitely was not. The thermostats were higher than what they should have been. The countertop was actually up to maybe about here when I first moved in. And then they also, because I can't reach the receptacles back there, the plugs, they actually put some plugs along the countertop here. And they put one over here where I have my kettle of tea. They actually have a light under here. The switch for it is actually back there where I cannot reach it, so they put that there. All these buttons were way up there where the clock is at. Obviously, me being in a wheelchair, I can't reach way up there. Also, they switched over the door on my pantry here. It was over here, but because I found it easier to open with this hand, they switched it over for me, so.
When Lisa finished my tour of her kitchen, we went down to the laundry room where she showed me some of the challenges she faces there.
I have to stand up on one leg, and obviously I cannot reach in because I'm so short. And it's very hard for me to get my clothes out of here. So this is a reacher, and I reach in, pull the trigger here, and I lift my clothes out. The cover here is usually closed, so I lay the clothes on here, and I get back in my wheelchair, turn around, and I come over here to the dryer, and I just lift my clothes, throw them in the dryer, then get back up on my one foot leg, and I reach back here, and then I come over here, and I move this button to start.
Lisa was lucky to get all of these improvements done to her apartment. If she didn't have good family and friends to fight for, she might still be living with these problems today. But what really worries me is the fact that these two women, Madeline and Lisa, live in completely separate seniors complexes, and basically we're seeing the same exact kinds of problems in both places. Now, I haven't visited every seniors complex in the Cape Breton Regional Municipality, but if these two have the exact same problems, it makes me wonder how many other seniors are living with issues like this. Thank you for watching the Peddling Princess Podium. I'm your host, John Ardelli, and I hope to see you all again here next week. Bye for now.